Well, good morning, folks. It is an absolutely gorgeous morning out here this morning. Just beautiful. Still lots of white stuff, but we've had some wind the last few days that has really been cutting a lot of that down. Anyways, as you can hear, I'm just heading over to check on the sheep. I think they're running a little low on hay, so I'll probably have to run them a bale later today here. So these girls have definitely licked up most of that hay, so we just got everything opened up. They can clean up that last little bit. I think I'll give them another day and a half probably before I come back and actually give them a bale so they don't waste so much. Over here with the molasses feeder, you can see they've got that thing down to about a half. We filled that up on Saturday, so they're definitely liking that Adaptable. This Adaptable was something we got from Bloom Enterprises. He got it from a guy named Rod English, and so he's the molasses supplier. Works pretty good. They just take a lick, and as they have a lick, the ball turns and gets a little bit more on it, and they seem to enjoy it. Don't you, girls? Yeah, you like it. Yummy. I just went in our little lambing shelter there. It's a pretty humble shelter. We built this thing out of entirely reclaimed materials. As you can see, it's old pallets and upcycled tin. This tin for the roof here I actually traded for a case of beer, so that was a pretty good deal. But we've got a heat lamp that hangs inside the shed there with just a light bulb on it. As you can see, the light bulb's busted. So generally lambing season, I'll just have a light on there in the evenings. So if I come out at 2 o'clock in the morning, you know, I'm not fumbling around in the dark when I go into the lambing shed. And then if somebody lambs, it's really cold, we can switch it over to a heat lamp, obviously. But unfortunately, the cable is busted off of it. So I'm thinking probably when it was minus 50 there for a few days, the wind swinging this thing back and forth is probably enough to just shear that cable completely off. So I'm gonna actually dismantle this bottom portion of the lamp and see if I can't fix that, because I don't want to chuck it away if I don't have to. So with Chaos Corner getting redone, I don't have a workbench right now, which whatever. I didn't have a workbench before because it was just covered in crap. And that's my big concern, is when Chaos Corner, we get all these cabinets all done, is that we're going to have that much more flat space to stack up junk. So hopefully with the cabinets and stuff like that, we don't get there. But anyways, I'm just going to use the top of an old cupboard to be my flat surface to work from. So you can see right here, there's this grommet where the cable goes through, and then there's these screws to pop off this outer ring. So I'm going to pull these off, and hopefully we see some spade style connectors or something inside that we can instead of having to try and do a splice or something like that, we can just cut the end off and start again. All right, so it's the moment of truth. Let's pull this off and see what we see under here. So it's not a spade style connector, but it is a ring style connector, so we will be able to unscrew these and make a new connection. So that's fantastic. We can stop ourselves from having to throw this away. All right, so I've been working away at this light now for, well, kind of on and off a little bit throughout the evening here, but I did get the cable spliced up, and I'm just going to tuck it inside. There's a little keeper inside here, so it keeps all the cables nice and tucked away. That grommet sure was a handful to try and get that cable through it, but it's in. So it's just a matter of getting all the wires routed, the cap back on, and the screws in to secure it. And then we're gonna test this thing to see if it even works. So fingers crossed. So it's kind of the moment of truth here now. I've got the light completely reassembled. I got a bulb in it. So we're just gonna go ahead and plug it in, and let's hope it works. Hey, presto, holy man, that is bright. It works, success. One light fixture, safe from the landfill. That's today's win. All right, so now I'm up at the top of the shop. I'm on the mezzanine, actually. This is, you can see by the dresser, this is where we used to live before we built our house. We built the shop first. We lived up here, and yeah, we got to look down at the tractor every morning when we got out of bed. But I'm up here because today is a very special day. It's a day of great significance to me. It's March 3rd. That's my dad's birthday. So my dad passed away in 2017, right after his birthday. In fact, it was the 6th of March, so just in 3 days' time will be the anniversary of his passing. And one of the things that when I went back to England, I did actually get a picture of the old boy when he was 6 years old. So this was taken in 1955. Yeah, look at that. What a guy. Anyways, originally I didn't know how old he was in this picture until I opened up the back of the frame, and there was this newspaper clipping, which I talked about in another recent video here. But this came from the Penrith Observer in April of 1955, and that was shoved in the broken frame that was at his house. So I thought that was a pretty cool little piece of local history. It tells all kinds of stories of what was going on in the Lake District in the mid 1950s. So anyways, yeah, it's just kind of a nostalgic day anyways. So the story behind, my dad and this place here, we'd put the offer on this place shortly before he passed away, and was excited about it. And at that point in time, I had no fear. I had no fear because he was always there as kind of a point of counsel for me. Whether he agreed with every decision I made. Well, I know he certainly didn't agree with every decision I made. But he was always there as a guy that you could bounce ideas off of, and he was a very, I think, risk averse. He'd had some pretty wild life experiences. He'd taken some pretty big risks in his day and learned some lessons from it. And so he was able to share his experiences, and then suddenly it became, here we are, we're buying land, we're going to build a house, we're going to go farming. And then he passed away. And so it's a very, that moment is a very sobering, very, it's like you just, your maturity just goes into warp speed, because you're now like, I can't screw this up, because I got, when I screw this up, I've got nobody to go to anymore, right? I've got nobody to go to for, that level of, it's not that you don't have anybody to go to for counsel, but you just, that type of counsel, that kind of relationship that you have with your dad just doesn't exist with anybody else. And so, I hopped on a plane and I go to England and I sit through his funeral. And there's a priest at his funeral that he clearly never met, because my dad, in his early years was a churchgoer, I think more because he had to be than because he wanted to be. But so in his later years, he didn't attend church, and you could tell that because the service, that the priest had never met him, but gave this long spiel about sheep, which was ironic because my dad was a cattleman for years and didn't have much time for sheep. But and then I come home, and the irony in that message kind of gets it's not wasted by any means. So we got sheep. And it's just, and that's why we have sheep, is because of just this stupid, ridiculous, spiel that the priest gave at my dad's funeral. It's not because I wanted sheep, but it's not because, of any logical reason. It's just that weird thing stuck in my head. And at the time, it just provided some small comfort, I guess, which, if that makes any sense. Anyways, before I go ahead and get all emotional, I think that's time to end that story there. So I'm going to go inside and fix up a cup of tea. So I'll let you go for now. I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.